Are you ready for the big one? Since January 2010, we have seen devastating earthquakes in Chile, Haiti, Christchurch, New Zealand, and now Japan, where one of the largest events on record at magnitude 9 was captured on camera. Most of us sat riveted to our chairs, hardly believing our eyes as the devastation happened. These frightening scenes are, or should be, a wake-up call to everyone living on south coastal British Columbia, where the Cascadia subduction zone lies just to the west of Vancouver Island. We know that a mega earthquake is inevitable and could happen any time. Geological studies indicate that in the last 5,000 years, the average time between the 13 mega earthquakes along this subduction zone is about 500 years. However, these earthquakes do not occur every 500 years. The time between these giant earthquakes has been as short as 200 years and as long as 800 years. We know the most recent Cascadia Zone mega earthquake and tsunami happened 311 years ago. It's time to get cracking and be prepared. The narrative and photos in this presentation are not meant to frighten, but to inform and allow us to prepare for an event that may happen at any time. We will take a look at the subduction zone just west of Chile that parallels our situation in North America. A devastating magnitude 8.8 subduction zone earthquake took place on February 27, 2010 at 3:30 a.m. along the boundary between the Nazca and the South American plates, where the Nazca plate was sliding beneath the South American plate. The segment that ruptured was estimated to be 700 kilometers long, with a displacement of almost 10 meters. It was so powerful it moved the city of Concepcion, the country's second largest city, 3 meters to the west. Many of the random images you will see are from this earthquake. Here, on the northwest coast of North America, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, and a small portion of California lie above the Cascadia subduction zone, where the Juan de Fuca plate is sliding under the North American plate from Brooks Peninsula, near Port Alice, on Vancouver Island to Cape Mendocino in California, a distance of about 1,000 kilometers. These two plates have been locked together for 311 years, building pressure which, when released, will result in a mega earthquake of magnitude 9 or more. From tsunami records in Japan, dating back hundreds of years, and oral histories from First Nations peoples on Vancouver Island, scientists were able to determine that the last earthquake here happened on January 26, 1700, and the magnitude was 9. It caused a tsunami across the entire Pacific Ocean that, even in Japan, crested as high as 5 meters. It destroyed houses and damaged rice crops. On Vancouver Island, the shaking was so violent that people could not stand or sit, and it was so prolonged it made them sick. It threw down houses and brought great masses of rock down from the mountains. One village was completely buried by the landslide. On the west coast of Vancouver Island, the tsunami completely destroyed the winter village of the Pachima people, with no survivors. Canada's largest onshore, a shallow earthquake, similar to the one in Christchurch, New Zealand, and not part of the Cascadia subduction zone, was a magnitude 7.3 event that occurred Sunday, June 23, 1946. I have included this segment because in a recent Times Colonist article, geologist Vic Levson, one of the geologists and engineers who mapped much of the region, assessing its earthquake hazard, points out that large parts of Greater Victoria are built on distinctive thick clay that amplifies the ground motion and reacts almost like jello during an earthquake. The epicenter of this 1946 quake was in the Forbidden Plateau area of central Vancouver Island and was felt as far away as Prince Rupert and Portland, Oregon. The earthquake knocked down 75% of the chimneys in the nearest communities of Cumberland, Union Bay, and Courtenay, and did considerable damage in Comox, Port Alberni, and Powell River. A number of chimneys were knocked down in Victoria. Many unreinforced masonry buildings were damaged. Landslides and liquefaction caused damage to transportation infrastructure. Because the epicenter of this earthquake was in a remote, densely forested area, quite some distance from any urban center, resulted in damage that could be described as minor in comparison to that suffered in Christchurch. Some idea of what we can expect when the big one hits can be found in reports prepared by the Cascadia Region Earthquake Work Group, a coalition of public and private representatives working together to improve the ability of Cascadia region communities to reduce the effects of earthquake events. Just Google Cascadia Region Earthquake Work Group for a wealth of information. In a nutshell, this is what their research concluded. Strong shaking will last for 4 minutes, killing and injuring many. A tsunami up to 10 meters high will wash over the coast within minutes. Much of coastal Route 101 in the USA will be impassable due to wave and landslide damage. Part of the coast will be cut off from inland cities when roads are buried. For rescue, first aid, and immediate relief, most places will be on their own. Utilities and transportation in the I-5 Highway 99 corridor terminating in Vancouver will be disrupted for months. Cities may have significant fatalities as tall buildings collapse. Aftershocks will continue for years, some of them large earthquakes in themselves. Because we live on an island, our communities depend on roads, bridges, ships, ferries, and port facilities to deliver the fruit, vegetables, other food items, medical supplies, gasoline, furniture, clothing. In fact, everything that we consume and use. The I-5 Highway 99 corridor, which carries much of the California fruit, produce, and other goods, is expected to be damaged. Port and ferry facilities may be out of operation for a time, and our local roads and bridges will sustain damage. We know there is only about a 4-day supply of food in commercial warehouses and stores on the island, so it is imperative that each household have a few weeks' supply of food, medication, water, portable stove, propane, cooking pots, cutlery, dishes, propane, whatever, accessible if our homes are seriously damaged. Much of the produce from the USA via the freeway known as I-5, which according to the Cascadia Region Earthquake Work Group will be damaged and inoperative for a period of time. Offshore, fruit, produce, and other goods arrive by ships at ports here and on the mainland. Damage to these facilities is expected, creating yet another delay. First and foremost, as mentioned earlier, we will be on our own, without power, water, sewer systems, natural gas, and possibly roads for an unknown period of time. Emergency services such as police, fire department, and ambulance personnel will be attending to their families before being available to assist us. Injuries to emergency personnel, damage to vehicles and equipment will add to response times. Downed power lines, trees, avalanches of varying size, collapsed overpasses, bridges, and damaged roads are expected. In conclusion, our goals should be: A. To survive a mega earthquake and many aftershocks by learning everything we can about them. B. To get involved with your block emergency preparedness group so you can assist with rescue operations, aid and comfort of the injured, provide shelter to those whose homes are no longer safe to live in, and to assist wherever needed. C. To survive the aftermath, probably for several weeks, by acquiring food, water, medication, utensils, etc., to enable you to prepare meals, most likely without electricity or natural gas. There are approximately 15 million people living in the Cascadia subduction zone, with roads, bridges, freeways, ports, airports, and ferry terminals damaged. It will take some time to get this infrastructure up and running and the necessities of life flowing into this large region again. We do not know when the earthquake will strike, tomorrow or in 100 years, but we know for sure that we cannot survive if we have not purchased and stored the food and other necessities of life. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Emergency food with a shelf life of 4 or 5 years and a built-in heating system is available for about $9 per meal. We bought ours at Capital Iron, but I expect they are available where hiking, camping, and marine supplies are sold. Because we will be on our own, everyone will have a part to play in preparing for the event that we know is coming. We must be prepared to the best of our ability to provide emergency services to ourselves, possibly for days, until local emergency services or outside help is available. We have an emergency preparedness organization here at the Ridge that needs you and you need it. Contact your block captain and get involved now. There is much to be done and much to be learned.